right, good afternoon. I'm Jen Howell. I'm the co-executive director of Virginia Civics, and we are the home of the Virginia We the People program. And my fellow judges are?
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Tom Tinder and I'm an attorney from Charleston, West Virginia.
Good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel Caudillo, a senior advisor with the White House Hispanic Prosperity Initiative in Washington, D.C.
All right, and students, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Tomsick.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Briseno.
Hi, my name is Derek Streitenberger.
And just one moment, I accidentally hit the button that said hide the non-video participants, and now I'm trying to find that again so that we can get our other Aubrey here. Oh my goodness, this is all, hold on, I'm going to pause the recording.
Oh,
Yes, we are good to go.
excellent. Okay, well, we will go ahead and read the question, and then you can start whenever you're ready, okay? All right. We're looking at question number 1 today. In the Virginia plan, James Madison proposed proportional representation in both houses of Congress. The delegates rejected Madison's proposal in favor of the Great Compromise. What is the Great Compromise and how was it justified? Do you think the founders' justification is acceptable today? Why or why not? What are the advantages and disadvantages of equal representation in the Senate? What are the advantages and disadvantages of changing the Senate to proportional representation?
Great Compromise solved many problems, though it was not easy to come to the conclusion of. There were 2 types of representation that were representation and proportional representation. One would give the larger states too much power, and the other would not give each state the representation their population indicates they should have. They had to examine the pros and cons of each one, but also include other factors, such as what would be best for the people in the states as a whole. Plans were proposed, such as the Virginia plan, which proposed all proportional representation, or the New Jersey plan, which proposed all equal representation. But in the end, neither of the plans met the representational needs of the states until the committee came up with what is known as the Great Compromise. It stated that there would be 2 parts to Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate. The Senate with equal representation and the House with proportional. As Maine Governor John Balducci notes, providing for the common good is the central job of the government. The Great Compromise fits that standard, being best for the people, the states, and the government. It had the power of convincing the states to set aside their own interests and do what is best for our nation. The Great Compromise is still used in our society today, and while it took a long time to reach the conclusion of it, the Great Compromise is said to be one of the best plans to have been created in our history.
There are many advantages and disadvantages of equal representation in the Senate. At the convention, framers in particular had many problems with the number of representatives each state should be allowed to send to Congress. There are many problems between delegates from the smaller populated states and delegates from the larger populated states. The reasoning was each state wanted only what was best for them. Disadvantages of equal representation were that the smaller populated states feared that the larger states would control the national government. They feared that they would not get as much say as they thought they were entitled to. This idea was that each state should have the same amount of representatives in Congress. An advantage of equal representation is the Great Compromise. If each state had the same number of representatives, the smaller states would not feel overruled by the larger populated areas. The Great Compromise solved these problems the states faced, and it created balance and equality in the government.
There are advantages and disadvantages to moving the Senate to proportional representation. An advantage is that the bigger states would prosper on the government because they would have a larger population, which would give them more representation in Congress. Therefore, they would be able to pass laws to benefit them, while a disadvantage would be that the smaller states would have voice and not have much to say. Another disadvantage is that the bigger states might just overrule the government and make a new way of living. It also says in the Constitution that we should have very little power. If we were handing most of our power to the bigger states, that would be dreadful. Professor Charles L. Black of Columbia University states we have taken all steps humanly possible to stay within its powers. The last disadvantage would be gerrymandering. which means that one branch of the government is in favor of one specific political party. It would be dreadful to only favor one political party, because if you were the unfavored party, it would be unfair, because it could lead to one presidential party for possibly ever. Therefore, it clearly indicates that changing would affect the government in a negative way.
The question, is the founder's justification acceptable today, must be considered with all the advances that have been made in our society to get the society we live in today. Our population today is more than 10 times what it was in the 1800s, along with many medical, technological, and mechanical advancements that have been greatly developed since. The Great Compromise solved many representational problems during its time in the new up-and-coming Congress. That has grown to what it is today. The issues of representation founders faced while making the Great Compromise still apply today. Although, while we are working to have a more efficient government, the plan that the founders justified would still be acceptable.
All right, thank you. Let's take this back home. So thinking about your own state, what advantages or disadvantages does equal representation in the Senate give to your state?
With equal representation, our state is not as big, like with votes in or political matters in Congress. And so with equal representation, it would give our state, along with many other smaller ones, equal say and representation on matters, on topics that are like across our whole nation, that apply to everyone across our nation, all the states.
I see what my teammate is.
Sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay, I see what my teammate is trying to say, in that we're one of the smaller states, which is true, but we're more towards the center of electoral or representatives, because there are really small states, but there are bigger ones that could overpower us if we were to have proportional representation.
To go along with what my teammates were saying, I think that equal representation is very important. Like, it will really help the smaller states, because everyone can bring something unique to the table, and it will help the nation as a whole.
Thank you. You mentioned in your remarks about a political party, and of course we have two major political parties in the United States. Some other countries have 3, 4, 5, 6 major political parties. Do you think we should have more political parties in the United States? Why or why not?
I think that, oh, sorry, you can go.
Well, we have two big political parties, but they're also like, there's specific beliefs in those parties that they believe. So not the whole Democratic political party believes what the whole of it is. It's more broken up, but they believe in the big picture.
Yeah, going off of what my teammate said, in each political party, there are like political parties inside of the big political party, and they don't all believe the exact same thing. So no, I don't think we need more, because each person believes something different. They don't have to believe the exact same thing.
To add on to what my teammate was saying, the separate political parties are often contradicting each other within their own parties, and I would like to respectfully disagree with my teammate and say that maybe we should have some more political parties that mainly focus around what the political parties are constantly contradicting themselves on, and try and separate them. And so eventually they can all come together and bring their ideas to the table, but they won't have to constantly be fighting over what their political party believes in.
During your presentation, you spoke a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages of changing the Senate to a proportional representation. But now pretend that you have the opportunity to make changes and have the power to consider this question. And so my question then to you is, should we change the Constitution to make representation in the Senate based on population? Why or why not?
No, because then that would go like, so no, because if we gave it all to the Senate has more power over the House, which the House is proportional. So I think that the Senate needs to stay as an equal representation, so that they don't, because then they would just overpower the House. There would be no point of the House of Representatives.
Add on to what my teammate was saying, I would say no, we should not change it to proportional representation, because the whole purpose of the Great Compromise was to give each state, to create a balance between each state and their needs of representation in Congress. And the Senate, with equal representation, gives the smaller states the voice that they should have as a part of our nation, with ideas about topics that apply to all the states, not just the larger ones.
I agree with both of my teammates. I think that we should not move it to proportional, because then it would be like we're reversing the clock back, and we're just going to have this cycle of unfairness in the government. So I think it should stay with equal representation.
Do you think that the systems of representation that we got from the Great Compromise, do you think that they are working? Do you think that the people's voices are being represented in Congress?
I would say yes, they are, because that's what the states were fighting for throughout this whole development of the Great Compromise. And so when they were given what they were fighting for, which is equal representation and say in government, I would say they have been using their voice the way that they have fought for it.
We have one state in the nation, Nebraska, that has a unicameral government legislature, just has one house, as opposed to other states that have two bodies, a House and a Senate. Do you think that other states should adopt a unicameral legislature, just one house? Why or why not?
I would say no, they shouldn't, because if there are two separate houses, it gives the smaller areas and the larger areas things that they can separate and think about on their own, and that helps come to a compromise.
I think what my teammate is trying
Stop,
to
ma'am.
say is,
Stop, ma'am.
Oh, so sorry, we ran out of time. Yeah, sorry. I would love to keep going. We just that clock is the bane of my existence today. I really enjoyed our conversation. We have just a little bit of feedback for you before we let you go. I really enjoyed our conversation, and you know what I particularly liked about your opening statement and this common thread that came up throughout your follow-up questions was the idea of the common good. And I just really like that you put it all in those terms, isn't that, isn't that what we're supposed to be in pursuit of, right? The common good. I liked a lot of your examples that you gave in your opening statement, and you gave us, some reasons that larger states shouldn't have more power that I hadn't heard yet today, and I really like that. I would say just something to think about as you move forward. Maybe give a few more of those really great examples in your follow-up as well, because you have some really good ideas, and I just want to see the examples that you can use to back those up. But otherwise, great job. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was very enjoyable. I wrote down some things here. You gave some wonderful quotes, and sometimes people just give quotes because it's from a famous person or whatever, but your quotes tied in exactly to the points that you were making. That was well done. You brought up some things we hadn't heard before, and we would have liked to, if we had more time, follow up on. One of them is you just mentioned gerrymandering, and boy, we could have a discussion about that for a long time. And I particularly liked your answer to the political party question, because you gave both sides of the argument, and you acted very well as a team in giving both sides of that particular issue. Overall, I thought you did a very good job, and please stay involved and participate in our governmental process. You're going to be good citizens and provide much needed leadership for for your community and for your state and for our nation. Thank you very much. Good luck.
I'll keep my comments short. Great job today. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing about the different insights you provided on our questions, and just to enhance it. It's just continue to provide just the examples. Just shows more. It just helps provide more depth into the answers. But I look very much forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. So good job. Thank you.